Welcome to my podcast, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality. My name is Vicki Poole, and I'm a master transformational coach and hypnotist specializing in habit change. And this podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach. And it's all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life anyway? Well, it is recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And as I am your host, I'm going to be introducing you in just a moment to a special guest. But before I do that, I want to ask you to please leave a comment on this episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, because this gets out into the world by your helping us. So do me a solid. Leave a comment. Remember to like, subscribe, and share so all these amazing guests that I have can get their word out further and further than we ever would have imagined. All right. So now let's get started. So before I bring him out, this is Sys Savanh. And he is an amazing person. And I know him from being part of his Seven Figure Academies workshops. And so I am super excited to have him here and introduce him to all of you. So say hello.
Hello. Super excited to be here. Thank you, Vicki.
Yes, I had to chase you down to get you too.
We just got back in from overseas. So we've been gone for almost 2 months overseas. So I'm back.
Yes, because we were working on getting it all together before, and then you ended up leaving. And so it was like, okay, I'll be patient. And then you reached out and said, oh, yay.
Thank you for being patient. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just excited to have you on here. So if you would just tell everybody just a little bit about you, and then we'll start exploring things.
Sure. I'm a business coach, and we train people to essentially live what I call the Ikigai Way. If you've never heard of it, it's called it's a Japanese concept called it's a reason for being. And what that means is if you can wake up every single day doing what you love, right? Because that's your passion, doing what you're great at, which is essentially what you've experted, what you've mastered, that you can actually be paid for because you're making real world change, right? You're helping people in the marketplace. It's because it's what the world needs. Right. So that's kind of who I am. And that's what I'm super passionate about, because I'm able to help people not only just live the Ikigai way, but being able to turn that knowledge and expertise into an offer, and then ultimately turning into a business online that they can actually run from anywhere in the world. That is my mission. That's my most passionate thing that I do. So,
yeah. Well, I'll have to say, when I first I think I saw a lot of your marketing and everything for a while before I actually dove into one of your workshops. And I was so impressed with your workshop because and what is the gentleman that you have with you most of the time?
JJ.
Yes. You were both so personable. And I remember and it's, I can't even remember how long it's been, but I remember being in the audience, so to speak. And then I raised my hand, or maybe I didn't raise my hand, but JJ called me out and said, why is it that you're not going to be here every single day? And I said, well, I've got to work. I got to this, I got to that. And he said, okay, you've got to make a decision, and you decide if you want to do this. Call your customers, your clients, and tell them you can't be there. You're going to be here. And he said, and if you do that, I can't even remember what he told me he was going to give me, but it was like, okay, I'll do this. So I went in, and during the break, I called all of my clients, because I think I was sitting out on my porch watching, and I said, I can't be here for very long or whatever. And that's when he called me out. So I got so much information from that workshop. But the main thing to me was how you guys, it was like you were right there, even though it was a virtual thing. But you also, it's like even though there were a lot of people there, I still felt like you saw me every time I was there. And I don't know how you guys do that, but you did. And that impressed me so much. And
Yeah.
so I kept watching and watching. And then when I got the opportunity, that after started my podcast, I thought, okay, he's one person that I definitely want to get on and talk to.
Yeah, and it's really about experience, right, Vicky? As you are looking to, your podcast, it's all about your client's experience with you and the potential client's experience with you. So one thing we've learned from companies like Netflix and Amazon and Airbnb, like they don't sell a product or service, they sell an experience. So for us, it's not about the information that's there, that's shared. The frameworks and strategies are all important, but what's vital is how you make people feel, because people will never ever forget how you make them feel.
That's right. That's right. And I love the reason I started my podcast, just in case you don't know, and some of the listeners maybe don't know, is that I feel like I've spent my whole life kind of filtering my voice depending on who I was in front of or who I thought I was in front of, what people would say or think or do, right? And so I really thought, well, maybe I could start a podcast, because then I can say anything I want, and it's, all they have to do is turn it off. But then in the beginning, it was like, oh, I don't know that I can do that. Well, then I took a class, and I worked with a lady, Stacy Lauren, with Do the Thing formula. And she gave me these little bite-sized pieces. And just by doing that, it's like I started. And it didn't start to tell people stories. It started for me to tell my story. But as I started telling my story, and I would be watching people and listening to people, I'd say, oh, I want to share that story. I want to share that. And so that's how it became what it is today, because I'm all the time sharing someone's magnificent story. And I really love the ones that are, something big happened that put them on this trajectory. And now they're actually grateful for that thing. It's like the perceived imperfections and, all the things coming together to make us who we are. So let's dive a little bit into, where did you come from that you are into this experience thing and you've become this amazing business coach? How did that all start?
Yeah, because I think that God sends our way either a feather, either a brick. Sometimes he sends a bus. When we don't listen, when he sends the feather, he throws a brick at you, and you don't listen there, he'll send you a bus, right, to hit you. So that is exactly what happened to me. At the 14-year mark, which was 5 years ago, I had exited out of my sixth business, and the pattern was there, right? I said, hey, what am I going to do next, right? Like I literally was going to start my next business, and I asked myself, what am I going to do next? Well, I spent so much time chasing success, right, for 14 years, and I was successful, but the problem is I was not successful in my life and my relationships. So my wife wanted to leave me, right, because here she's with this guy who she loves, but he's, whatever goal he set, he gets it, but he sets another goal. So it's like, when am I going to have the time with you, right?
Right.
So I decided that at that point in time, I said, you know what can I do? I'm still with my wife, and we have two amazing, beautiful kids. Yeah, we never did that. But what I had to really change myself. And what I meant was, if I wanted to be a successful entrepreneur, I also need to make sure I'm successful, with my health and my relationships and everything like that too. So I said, you know what, instead of saying what I'm going to do next, I figured, who am I going to be? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to spend most of my time with? And I want to spend most of my time with my family and doing the things that I love and being with the people I love. So I asked myself instead, if money and time were not an issue, right, how would I be living instead of just what I was doing? So I said, at that point in time, I said, you know what? My answer was, I want to go where I want, when I want, stay as long as I want, and bring as many people as I can. And that's really what made me decide to essentially launch my very first online business. And I struggled really hard for the first 2 years. I mean, literally my first year, I did everything I possibly can to launch. And then it took me a year to launch. And then it took me another 9 months to get my first sale. And that first sale was a $97 offer. So it literally almost took me 2 years to grow my business. And that, quite honestly, crushed my confidence. I gained weight. I was stressed. One of my friends told me that your family deserves the best of you, not the rest of you. And when I was struggling for almost 2 years, they did not get the best of me. They got the rest of me. And I just don't want other people to go through that. So when I finally figured out how to be successful online, I said, you know what? I have to turn this into an offer, because I know how it feels to not have confidence, to be stressed and overwhelmed, and quite honestly, be fearful that this dream that you want to take out to the marketplace and to share with the world, your gifts and superpowers, they're going to go to the grave with you. And that's the most scariest thing, to be able to think that one day you'll wake up regretting that you did not do what God created you to do. So I said, you know, if a lot of people are going through this and a lot of people are struggling with this, I have to help them out, because I went through the other side. So I know my ideal client very, very well, because I was my ideal client.
Right.
So when I created my offer, this particular brand, Seven Figure Expert Academy, I created it for me. I created it for my past version. And I really created an offer that I wished I had. Does that make sense? Because I understand who my ideal client is. I understand, you know, what they're going through, what problems are keeping them up at night at 3:17 a.m., eyes wide open, and they can't sleep. Right. So that's kind of it. So now it's my mission I've been able to live my life where I now can travel the world, have time, financial, and location freedom. And now it's my passion to help other people do the same.
Right, wonderful. Well, so now tell us, where is it that you're from? I know you told me before, but where?
Yeah, I was at the age of 4. I was born in Laos, and there's a whole story around that. We had to escape Laos back in the 78, right after the war.
Wow.
I was on my mom's back.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember, because it was such a tragic the way we left. Right, we left literally getting shot at crossing the Mekong River.
Oh my gosh!
And we weren't the only families. There was a lot of families doing, you know, that happened to them at that time. But we ended up, you know, living in a refugee camp in Thailand for almost a year, and then we were able to we got accepted into the U.S. And then I came to the U.S. and I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's where I went to school. That's where most of my family's at, and that's where a lot of my background is from, is Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's intense. You know, we don't really know how blessed we are till we hear a story of something like that to have never experienced. I mean, 9/11 is the closest I have got to it, you know, and that's very different. So my heart goes out even to your memory of it. That's got to,
use it. Some people, you know, use things, you know, I'm a big, Tony Robbins is one of my mentors, and he says life happens, you know, for you, not to you. So I look at that as I've used things like that as my driving force. I don't use things like that as a trauma, right? Yeah. That's not, that to me, that's not traumatic. That to me, it's like, well, I am alive, and I am in the US, the greatest country in the world. And this is my home. And I turn that into appreciation of my country, right? The US. Yeah. How grateful I am to be here, how much I love the US, because the US didn't shoot at me while trying to leave. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I use that as a feel, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's funny because I have a group on Facebook called Make Lasting Change. And I go in every day, every morning, and I give positive affirmation and journal prompts. And this morning was all about taking your adversity, the things that had happened to you, and find the blessings in them, the lessons that you learn. And, you know, you were just saying that about when God sends you a feather. Well, I say he whispers in your ear, then he gets a little bit louder. And if you don't listen by the third one, there's a baseball bat.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's like you can't just ignore all this stuff. It's going to get you in the end. You got to learn now, or you're going to keep learning, right?
Yeah, and it sucks to go through that, right? When he hits you with a baseball bat or runs you over with a bus, it sucks. But man, once you go through it on the other side, you look at that adversity, and you can actually, if you use that to fuel you as action to level up your life, your relationship, your business, or your finances, man, you can then come back and tell that amazing story. You know what I mean?
Use it as a reason that it's working, not an excuse why it doesn't.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're going through some stuff, trust me, we all have, right? I've gone through some major failed businesses, right? You know, all literally painful, almost failed relationship with my wife. That was painful. But guess what? By coming out the other side, I can look back and really look at that situation and really, be grateful for it because it made me such a better person.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I've been through quite a few things too, not to the extent of what you went through. And there's times that I was sitting with sweat rolling down my face, trying to figure out how I was going to pay my bill, how I was going to keep the lights on and all that stuff. So, we've all been through those things, and it's, getting through it and to the other side. And a lot of times you need help, like with Sys being a coach, and I'm a coach and a hypnotist. And so a lot of times people don't ask for help when they need something because they feel like it's a sign of weakness. But it's really the biggest sign of strength to reach out to someone who can tell you how to do this, and instead of, waiting on the baseball bat because you didn't take action, somewhere along the way. Because you know how it is, when we are thinking of our path and how we're supposed to get where we're going, we're coming from our limited view of the world. And so we can't see the path, but hiring a coach and having them kind of standing up above and saying, hey, you need to take a ride up here so you don't hit that bridge that's out, over there. And so I love coaches. I always have to have a coach of some kind, because without it, you're just flailing around trying to figure it out yourself. And it takes you 10 times, if not more, to get where you want to go. Right.
And the coach, the reason why they're telling you to take that right, because guess what? Because they took that left. You see what I mean? So they're the ones who hit that bridge, that wall first. And they know what's going to happen. So they want to help you avoid that bridge. So that's the cool part about the coach, right? It really is a lot less painful to pay the money that you need to pay to get ahead, to pay for speed, and really so that you don't waste money as well as time. Quite honestly, it's cheaper to hire a coach than trying to waste time and money on that error that could be so devastating sometimes.
And I think it's Jim Rohn that says, don't wish things were easier, wish you were better. So that's the thing too, is having a coach, having somebody with experience to help guide you, makes it not only faster, it makes you stronger, because without that strength, we'll get where we're going, but we won't stay there long because we didn't gain what we needed to get there. So like I said, I went through that workshop with you guys, and I loved how you were able to just break things down and to, it was, I don't know, I can't even explain it. So anybody, if you've got one coming up soon, do you have another one coming up?
I do. Actually, in fact, we're doing a few things a little bit different as well. We know that it's really important to get people to believe in the process. They believe in you, and then ultimately they believe in themselves. And because then if they don't, right, if they don't believe in the process, then they shouldn't spend more time. But if they believe in the process, now they're going to spend time with you. If they believe in you, they're going to spend more time with you. If they believe in themselves for the very first time, now they're ready to spend money with you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can have the best frameworks and strategies in the world, unless they believe that they can actually do it. They're not ready to spend, and they won't spend money with you. Okay. So you have a program. So what we do is we actually do live master classes every single week now, to get people to literally not only just know us but like us and believe that they can do it before they even come to our immersion, because we don't want people to waste their time or their money, right? Coming to something.
So this is like a preliminary to the workshop thing that I did. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Because I realized that once they come to that immersion, now they already believe that they can do it, and all we're doing is teaching them how to do it.
Okay. Brilliant. Yeah. So I'll be putting all of your information in the description when I post this podcast out. But for the people that maybe are listening, how do they get to this? What did you just call it?
The immersion?
The immersion. Yeah. How did they get to the immersion?
It's a Seven Figures Expert Academy. Just that's what it is. So Seven Figures expertacademy.com/immersion. Okay. When they actually click on that, you register for yourself. There'll be a schedule on there every single week. We either do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday. It's 90 minutes, and it's literally 90 minutes of coaching. That's really what it is. Okay. We ask those tough questions, right? Why you want to do what you do, right? You know, who are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? Who's your ideal client? You know, what is your offer, and where are you making it? When are you making your offer? And, you know, all that entire, you know, client journey with you, so that you walk away saying that, oh my God, like, yes, I really want to do this. We want to make sure that you have some clarity of understanding where where you're at, where you want to go, but most importantly, that you know exactly what it takes to get there, so that you can actually look at that and say, I am not willing to do that. Makes sense? Yeah. You don't waste your time. Because if you're like, I want to do that, I'm willing to do that, I'm willing to do exactly what you just showed me to do, and I believe in that business model, and I know that's what it takes to do that, and then you're willing to do it, then great. Then that's where you spend money and time at our immersion. Makes sense? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, that makes a lot of sense. And let me just share real quick. I recently had a conversation with someone who was wanting to get hypnosis from me. And she was wanting to stop smoking. And one of the things that I always ask people, I said, well, why now? Why do you want to do it now? And then she gave me a few reasons. I said, okay, from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it doesn't matter, 10 being I have to do it now, where are you? And she said a 5. I said, well, then I'll be honest with you. You're not going to get the help. The 5 means one day you'll say, yes, I want to never have another cigarette. And the next day you're going to say, I can have just one. So until you can figure out and you get to a place where you're a 7 or above, you know, you're wasting your time and money, and I don't want to do that to you. And then she started saying, well, maybe I want it more than that. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. I said, well, only you know. We'll finish the conversation, and then you let me know what you want to do. But, you know, I think a lot of times people think that they're looking for someone to just not necessarily do it for them, but almost do it for them. Sure. They want you to make them do it or whatever. And it's like, you know, we are people with brains and egos and all that stuff. And you have to want it to be able to make the difference and the changes that have to be made, because a lot of times it ain't easy.
Yeah. It never sticks if people do it for you. Right. Yeah. If you think it's easy and, you know, just have somebody do it for you, it just doesn't stick. You go back to your old habits, because at the end of the day, it's about, you know, as you're doing it, you want that result, right? But as you're doing the journey, that experience, what you're doing is you're creating new habits. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're creating new skills. You're creating new, both skill set and mindset, new, that will make it, you know, stick at the very end, so that you can continue down that path.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's just like, you know, a lot of things, whether it's, you know, business or weight loss or communication or anything like that, you know, somebody can give you the little script of, from now on, this is what you say when somebody says this, or this is when you want to eat, this is what you're going to eat. But if you haven't dealt with the internal stuff, you know, people can work on sheer grit for such a long time. And then at some point they have to go back to being them. And if they haven't really changed, they're going to slide right back. You know, that's why there's so many people that there's 1,000,001 diet books, because unless you've changed what's going on, you can buy every single one of them, lose some weight, gain it back. And it's 100%. The same with business too. You got to be able to get into the mindset of, and I'm not a business coach, so I can't speak on that so well, but I know you gotta change your mindset of what you believe and who you think you are, right?
Correct. Yeah, who you are, right? I mean, meaning like, what have you? Because it's got to be. It all starts with clarity, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you have a clear understanding of like, this is who I am, this is who I want to work with, this is, you know, what I have mastered, and, you know, ultimately how I want to do this. You can do it unless you then determine that how you're doing it is something you really love. Then eventually one day you're doing something you're an expert in, but you're not doing something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right. So 100%.
Yeah. So that would be that's one of those things where you're married to a business that you don't even like. And that's just hell. Right.
You see a lot of people, who went to school and become lawyers or doctors, and they're miserable. They make the money, right? And they, you know, but then they're miserable every day, right? Because they're doing something they're an expert in, but they're not doing something that they love.
Right. It would be great to marry the two, right?
It's hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, for me, it's like, I love to learn. And so I'm all the time taking a new workshop or getting a new book, or listening to a new podcast or a YouTube channel. That's my thing I do all the time. And so I'll get little nuances of things that'll just kind of like spark something. Well, oh, I need to know more about that. And then I'll start searching on that. And so as you're teaching people, they've gone through this preliminary thing. They filled out the stuff. They've done you said it was a 90-minute workshop or something.
Yeah, we do a 90-minute coaching. And then basically if they then believe that they can do it, then we encourage them to come to our boot camp, our immersions, so that we can teach them how. For 2 days, we literally walk them through how to build a business side by side with them. Right. And the goal there is once they leave the immersion, those 2 days, they literally know, you know, who it is that they want to serve their ideal client, how they're going to serve them, what their offers are, why they're thinking about doing this, and, you know, where they're going to make the offer, when they're going to make the offer, whether they're going to run a webinar or challenge or what, you know, create courses, whatever that is. They leave with a business built so that all they do is they just have to now execute and implement. Right. So, yeah.
So let me ask you a question. You know, you've got these things going, and I'm sure you're a man because that has all these aspirations and ideas of what you want to produce from here, right? So what's going to be coming now after this? Because you've been doing this part for just a little bit. So what's new on the horizon? Can you give us a secret, an idea of what's happening?
Yeah, one of the things that I am really, so my whole mission is about how can I be able to live the life I want, but build a business that fuels all that, right? That was my whole thing. And I think that's, to some degree, when people want to start a business, that's generally why they do it. They do it for freedom of time and money. But I really have been able to do that. I literally have been able to do that in the last, 3 years here. I set that out to be my mission 5 years ago. And just for example, we were just in Asia, and we just purchased a house there so that we can live, in over Asia 6 months out of the year and travel, literally 6 months out of the year. Because we're traveling quite a bit now as it is. But my next thing is, how can my whole passion now is how can I help other people do it. Right. And I was just last year at 2023 Funnel Hacking Live. I walked the stage and I just won my 2 comic award. Two of them.
I remember seeing the video of that. Yeah.
I won 2 of them. Right. So what that means is we generated $2 million inside of a funnel, right, in our business. But I found myself, and JJ was taking the video of me, and he's super excited. But he saw me walking across the stage, not as excited. And when I came down, and he's like, dude, like, you're not excited? I'm like, honestly, man, it's great to have that. But what's going to excite me is if I'm here watching our students and our people and our community walk the stage and win theirs. And that's kind of my new mission. How can I make that happen? Right. Because I got mine and I love it, but I want to see other people do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of my thing. So we're creating, we really have created a really nice coaching program. Before it was just training, right? We just had like events to train people, but now we really want to get in the weeds with people and launch our coaching program where after they come to the immersion, they can actually join our coaching program, and we literally will handhold them almost every single day so that until they are successful. And just as long as they don't give up on themselves, we're not going to give up on them.
Okay.
Right? So that's my new thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That sounds amazing. So when is that going to be launched, or is it already?
Already launched. Yeah, we have some students already coming through that, and we have a call with them. We have a whole, communication platform, and they can literally, we're there with them. We're there with them every day. Because I remember one of the things that if you're running a business or looking to start a business, and you're looking to create an offer, one thing that I assure you, you really want to be successful, create an offer that you wish you had. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was struggling, I was like, I wished I had not just a coach, but I wish I almost had somebody who actually did it, who can be there with me every day. That's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in my pocket. So that's when I created this offer. I was like, I'm going to be there for our students every day. So if so we decided to open up what we call open office hours, where they could just hop in and ask questions every single day.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Coaching every day, Monday through Friday, right? Just literally, we're there for you. Just come in. We have this wide open, you know, schedule, and just come in because we just want to serve you. Right.
Okay.
And I realized that I needed that. And I wish I had that as an offer. So I decided to create my offer that way. So, yeah.
That sounds impressive. Yeah. I love that idea.
Every day, while open office hours, almost like your principal's office, just walk in and, you know,
Yeah.
ask.
So how does that work? Are you on a certain app, a platform or something?
Yeah. So we have office hours every day from basically 10 a.m. to 12.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come in and whatever you need help with, whether it be copy or, you know, your offer, whatever that is, we're there for you every day. So that's
yeah. So it's like a platform like school or whatever.
Yeah, we're already on Zoom. No, we're just doing it on Zoom right now, but we will have school. Yeah,
okay.
School is one of the things that we're actually looking into. But we're just, me and our coaches are there every day at 10.
So you're just hanging out on Zoom, and then people just kind of pop in and out?
Yep, pop in and out every day. It's traffic coming in and out.
Wow.
Every day. Yeah, fun.
That sounds interesting. I love it. Yeah.
So, because I realized I one of the biggest things I realized that when I was struggling, when I was launching new, I was like, what did I wish I had? And that was the one thing I wish I had. And it's because if you're going to join a coaching program anyways, what are you joining it for? You're joining it for speed.
Right.
For speed. So why not give the people every single day speed? Like, literally, I mean, the only thing that's holding them back now is themselves, not you.
Right. Yeah.
As the coach, I'm like, I'm here every single day for you. So what's going on? Like, you're not hopping in, you're struggling, but you're not talking, you're not hopping in to get coaching. That's on you now.
Yeah,
right? It's not
definitely. Yeah. Well, I can say so many times in the past, the thing that's held me back, or my excuse that held me back in my business, was that I wasn't very tech savvy. And so instead of asking for help or trying to figure it out, I'd say, I don't want to fool with this. And I would go procrastinate with something, you know, whether it was getting busy with, you know, a different thing that had nothing to do with my business, whatever. And so little by little, I've gotten to a place where if I can't figure it out, I will go to Google, or I'll message my coach or something like that, or somebody that I think might know, and not let it hold me back. And because that is, I think most of us have some kind of excuse like that. Well, if I don't know how to do it. And I was even so bad at one point that if I didn't feel like I could master it right away, I wouldn't even try. You know? And so it took a while of having self-defeating behaviors and seeing that life wasn't going the way I wanted it to actually turn that around and say, okay, instead of doing that, what can I do different? And, you know, and so it's like you have to figure what it is within you that's fighting you. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's my newest thing now. We had a coaching program, and we had a weekly call and a weekly mastermind, but then I felt that it wasn't enough, right? For us, we wanted to add more value. So I just kind of went back, since you technically, when you create an offer, you're creating an offer for your past self, because what you did was you bought a better version of yourself. That's really what you bought, right? So I said, when I was going through my struggles, what did I really need out of all the things that I needed? Like, I had, like, obviously just like anybody else, had hundreds of things that I wanted, right? But then I pinpointed the one thing that I really, really wanted, which was, you know, a daily coach, quite honestly, right?
Yeah.
And that's what my decision to launch our coaching program to become is that. So
yeah. And that's so impressive too, because a lot of times you may have a coach that says you can reach out to me anytime you want to, but that means you're sending a text, or you're sending a message, or you're sending an email, and then you have to wait for the response. And maybe you're already past that creative place where you were trying to make a difference by the time they get back to you. So that's really impressive. I love that, Sys. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's every day, Monday through Friday, every day. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are thinking about the people who are listening now that haven't experienced your coaching, they're really getting excited right now hearing all the things that you're sharing. What is maybe one or two things that you could kind of share with them to do in their business that maybe would help them see a little bit about what you do, and then give them a bigger push to give you a
Sure.
call?
Sure. I think the biggest thing is there's three things. I think that most importantly, we get really, really clear of why you do this. Because again, people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. So you have to create, you have to create a very powerful origin story. Your mess turns into your message, right? What is that mess? Like, if you're not willing to share your mess, right, then you're not going to connect. Your offer is not going to connect. You're just going to be another person that created an offer. So we really dive into, why are you doing this, right? And then what is it? What is it that you want to do? And most importantly, not just like what is your offer, but like, how are you going to deliver it, right? Just like me, right? I want to deliver it every day. That's what I'm super passionate about. But if I decided to say, you know what, I'm just going to deliver it every day like I have, but then I hated it, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense as well. Because then eventually one day, even if I'm successful, I'm going to resent my clients, right? And myself for making that decision. But I absolutely love it. So, how are you going to actually make the offer, but deliver on your promises to help your ideal clients get results? And then, and then ultimately we determine, same thing with kind of what aligns with your life is where, how are you going to run business? Like, where are you going to make that offer, and when will you make it? Are you going to run live webinars, live challenges? Like, there's no one way of doing it, and don't do things that you don't love. So if somebody says, yeah, you got to run a challenge, you're like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to run a challenge. I don't want to be there live. Like, but you have to, and you force yourself to do it. It doesn't matter. The people, your audience on the other side are going to see that you don't love it. Right. So I got to figure, for me, I figure out, what is it that you are truly an expert? What have you mastered? Because if you're an expert at something, that's mastery. Right. If you're passionate about something, that's energy. So it's got to be married, right? It's got to be both mastery and energy. So that's kind of our master class walks through you. It's all about you. And then our immersion is show you how to do it. And then our coaching program is designed to help you implement, make sure that it happens.
Right. Well, because let's face it, in the world of, what is it that everybody's always talking about now? Hold on a second. It just went right out of my head. Don't you hate when that happens? The law of attraction. There's so many people that are into the law of attraction, but I had a discussion with somebody just the other day, because even with the law of attraction, it doesn't say you're going to sit there and you're going to meditate and then things are going to fall out of the sky. It says that you're going to sit there and meditate, and the ideas that come to you, you will take action on, because that's inspired action, and then you will get what you want. But so many people have only heard what they wanted to hear, and they're sitting there, and they're waiting for it to fall, and they're not doing anything to make it happen. So I love that you take them through the different stages, so that then you take them to the final stage of actually making it work.
Yeah. And it's, that's why I decided to do the coaching that way, is every day, because then it's not on me, it's on them for not making it happen. Right. And I, as a coach, I love, one thing that I don't like doing, and no coach should really do this. Like, you should not hold your people accountable. That's not your job. Your job as a coach is to work with highly accountable people.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
So, most people think that a coach is supposed to hold you accountable. No. Your job as a coach is to literally work with highly accountable people. They should be accountable, right? Your job is just to get them the frameworks, and and sometimes people, get off the beaten track, and your job is to pull them back in and be like, dude, like, your mindset, you're not doing activities that cause your business to grow, or your business to get better, or your health to get better, or things like that. And that's your job as a coach. But accountability is on them. They should be highly accountable.
I love that. And, I like the way you put that, because I will say that, there's times in my coaching life and everything that I felt like when I wanted coaching, I was reaching out and I would ask questions and I was constantly messaging the person and doing what I could to get as much out of it as possible. And some people, I felt like it was like pulling teeth trying to get them to be on time, to get there, and it's like, I shouldn't have to send somebody 10 reminders to get on this call that's all for them, you know? And it's like, this doesn't feel right. And so I love that. I love that because it really does make a lot of sense. And it's almost like that measurement I gave that lady. If, you know, because I really feel like at a 5, if I had worked with her, that she could have paid me her money, but she probably wouldn't have shown up. And there's there's an exception to every rule, but it just felt like, you know, if they're not committed enough, then you're going to be pushing and pulling in them all the time. And, you know, and that doesn't feel good either. Right.
Yeah. And I learned that because I ran the #1 office in Southern California for a vendor for AT&T. And I was actually being interviewed like this, but it was much larger crowd. And there was a bunch of people in the listening. And I had my top team, my top leaders were there in my office. They were there. And that was a question that was asked. How do you hold people accountable? Mm-hmm. And how I got that answer was I looked at the crowd and I looked at my team and I realized, I'm like, how do I answer this? Because do I really hold my people accountable? I was looking for the answer because I didn't know how to answer it. Yeah. And when I looked at them, I was like, gosh, I never held them accountable. Then I realized I don't have to because they're really highly accountable people. So I turned to the person and I said, quite honestly, I don't hold my people. My people right there. I don't hold them accountable. And the reason for that is if I look at every single one of them, I just choose to work with highly accountable people. And the whole, it took the whole life.
Everybody went,
yeah. And it was because it was the truth, right? That was literally, I had some amazing people working for me. And I just, I didn't have to, right? They knew, I charted the course and they knew where the destination we're going to go. And they said, I'm going to man one of the, stations on the submarine, right? Just kind of like the sailors and all that. Those are highly accountable people because they're like, right. And
know their duties, their tasks, and they did them.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Huh. I love that. That is brilliant. I can't wait to share that every time I talk to somebody now. Yeah. Because that is something that you hear all the time. And I will say, in that group that I have, I have them all fill out a little questionnaire thing and what is it that they're looking for. And there's a whole bunch of them that put in there they want accountability. And so, and that puts in a different perspective, to think of what can we do to have you hold yourself accountable. So that's a whole new thing I'm going to be talking about.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I love it. Yeah. So what I want to do real quick, if you don't mind, is I want you to maybe take us back a little bit. I know, you were having the hard time with your wife and your businesses and everything. And we just kind of skirted past that to where your brilliant self you are now. So can you maybe share just a little bit deeper about what you were going through emotionally that made you really, really strongly want to help people with this thing because you were struggling so much?
Yeah. So, there were at that time, there were two things that I struggled with the most. First one is I started this business that I was definitely unsuccessful at, but prior to that,
what was it, if you don't mind my asking?
This online business, right?
Okay.
So, but prior to the online business, I was successful, right? So here's my wife right in the middle of it. She's like, for 14 years, you've built the successful businesses, and I didn't see you, right? I don't see you, and the kids don't see you. But then now it's even worse. I don't see you, and you're actually trying to build an unsuccessful business, right? And she's like, I think that this isn't working out, right? So when you hear information like that, what do you do with it, right? That it's really how you respond. Everything's how you respond, right?
Right.
So it either crushes you or it creates you. And I realized that day that information, it's going to create me to be a better man, better business person, right? All of those things. And it did. And then I got, you know, I literally, my path of getting myself, you know, from stuck to success, I got help, right? Just like you talked about coaching, I got a ton of help. I got coaches, I got, you know, mentors, I got mentors in our relationship, mentors for me as a person. I got a coach for me as a masculine man, right? The partner, a man, a business coach for online and marketing. I got so many different coaches because I needed them, right? And that's really what made me successful. Then we turned things around. I got all the steps that I needed, learned whatever I needed. I implemented fast, and then we became successful. So I know that one thing that was for me, anyways, I had the resources, right, financially, anyways, to do all those. One of the things I realized is most people don't, though, right? So
especially for multiple coaches.
Yeah. So when I created this offer, I really created with that in mind, that most people are not as lucky to be able to have exit out of 6 businesses successfully, and then here you are struggling, and then having the means, right, time and financially resources to get yourself, you know, unstuck, right? And how can I create an offer that really helps majority, as many people as we possibly can, you know, that isn't so expensive, right? And we really created it for volume, because we realized that it's not about making millions of dollars anymore. It's about helping millions of people. So when we created the offer, our offer is very inexpensive, $2,500 to get coaching from us, right? For 90 days. And we're on a call with you every day. Think about that, how inexpensive it is. And is it an amazing coaching program? 100%. It's probably the best in the world. But we price it at that because we care for people.
Right.
If you're creating an offer and you really want to lead people, you want to guide people, you want to mentor them, and you should care. You should be in love. I call this, right? This is my guiding principles. You got to be in love with yourself, first off. Second, you got to be in love with what you know, in love with what you do, in love with how you do it, in love with why you do it, in love with your ideal clients, and in love with their results. If you cannot be in love with any of those, you should not be running a business, right? You should not be leading people.
Yeah.
Nothing in there said, I love my products and services.
Right.
Nothing in there. So when you are at that level of love, of being in love, you will create offers from the heart, not from the head.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Thank you for sharing all that. And so all of the things that were popping into my mind as you were sharing all that, I was thinking, okay, so now he's making millionaires, so they can afford to hire him. So there's going to be something bigger from there.
That is my goal. Is I want to create partners, right? I don't want to just sell offers. I want to get people essentially to build a high 6-figure business, and then basically partner with them to take them to that next level. Right. Okay. That's what I want to do. Yeah. I want to create more partners. I don't want to just create more people who buy my offers. That's not what I'm looking for at all.
Yeah. So, oh, brilliant. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I can see we're almost out of time. So, this has been very eye-opening, and I didn't want to take notes because I didn't want to miss anything. So I'll have to go back and listen just like everybody else so that I can take some notes.
And you probably don't want to leave. I don't want to leave too. I
know. I love it. And so is there anything that you want to just kind of like putting the icing on the cake, the cream on the top or whatever as the last thoughts or ideas, invites, whatever for anybody?
Yeah. My last advice is this, right? Like, find something that you are super, super passionate about. And if something's been whispering in your ear, or that gut feeling, trust me, that's God saying, hey, I am calling you. You're not listening to me. Hey, I've chosen you. And then what God really wants you to realize is that he created you. He
Mm-hmm.
created you to do this thing that you find that you're passionate about. And if that's the case, be a very resourceful person. I know that sometimes having the resources to buy a coaching program or whatever it is, it's tough. It's a tough decision to do. But if you find a way to find your passion, then be resourceful, because don't let your bills get in the way of your dreams, right? Because ultimately, if you achieve your dreams, then your bills will be taken care of. Okay.
Right.
So you got to dig deep. What is that something that you super, super love? Like in love. When I literally talk about being in love with yourself, in love with what you do, why you do it, how you do it, what you know, your ideal clients and their results, I really mean that. That should be your guiding principles. And if you have something you're passionate about, living those guiding principles are very easy. It really is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like I tell people a lot of times, if you're ever looking at your life and saying to yourself, is this all there is? Is this all I get from all this life that I've lived? And here I am. Then it's time to kind of maybe reevaluate and say, that's when you go back to when I was younger. What did I really love to do? And, and then hire Sys to help you get there,
or hire somebody, right? Because at the end of the day, when you ask yourself that question, which just Vicky just brought up there, what that means is life, God, whatever your creator, whoever you believe in, right, is putting things in front of you to essentially try to steer you towards whatever it is, right, that got you to ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
So stop. When you get to that point, just stop and be like, where is this coming from? Right? Why do I keep asking myself this question, or this keeps happening? Well, you'll find that they're just messages. Messages. Okay.
Yep. Yep. So it's time for everybody to listen. And this comes to my last thing that I'm going to say before we get off here. And it is, other than to say thank you so much, Sys, for being here. I greatly appreciate you. But I want to leave everybody with the best way to predict the future is create it. What are you creating? And with that, I will say farewell to everybody. Mwah.